Hello and welcome back. We are Danielle and
Danielle.
sounds so nice. We decided to do it twice. We are the Soul Sisters and we share grief, informed wellness with others. We talk about the tangible and intangible grief and how it affects our lives. And we do it in the hopes that we can help you make your life just a little bit better. So, this is part two in a series that we are doing as we reach the end of the year. A lot of folks are doing whatever their traditions are, right? Some folks call them resolutions, others will call them vision boarding. Um, the Danielle and I have different ways that, we practice and honor this time of year. Whatever you call it, this time of year, folks tend to think about who they are and who they want to be. And we know that without taking that moment to start with the end in mind, that grief will be the start that stops you if you don't consider the foundation of whatever you haven't dealt with, whatever is stuck in your perception, in your lens. If you've got something on the lens of your camera, it shows up in every shot you take. I don't know if you've ever done that before, Danielle. I have for sure had a little something. I'd be like, what is that? Turns out it was me. I was the problem. It was not the image itself. And so grief can be like that. You can have some unaddressed. We're always talking about unaddressed grief. And we got to this path by sharing just a few things that have been discovered through the Grief Recovery Institute, a phenomenal organization that committed years of extensive and international research on the topic of grief and how people experience it. And through their studies and questioning and collecting of information and data, they have discovered that there are about 6 myths that people tend to believe that interferes with their capacity to address and deal with grief. And we've started with our first three in our first half. And this half we'll be sharing the another three myths that could be problematic. Now remember, these myths are the do nots, not the do's. For anyone jotting it down, don't be making a little checklist and be like Danielle and Danielle said this is how to do it. We're saying these are myths that people struggle with and it interferes with their capacity to heal and heal well. Danielle, would you say it again for us? Just this the perspective that you were talking about with what comes first and then what comes next. I like the way you said that.
Yeah, I was using the example of buttoning up a shirt and how you miss one of those buttons and all of the other ones are out of order. Sometimes we are trying to cast this vision. And before we even get to forming and the manifestation of what it looks like, we don't realize that the actual first button, the first thing that we should have done is address whatever is hindering our sight.
Mm-hmm.
Sight is key to vision, y'all. So,
Sight is key to vision.
yes.
Sight is
So,
key to vision. That's good. That's good.
and that's why we were calling it grief is the start that stops you because we it's misdiagnosed, it's misunderstood. It is something that we relegate mostly to the loss of a loved one, but it is so much more complex, and it is something that 100% of us experience, even whether we're consciously aware of it or not. And it's not just the loss, but it is also all of those patterns that we are familiar with that are associated with what was, that is now different now that we have let it go or lost it in some way. That disconnect is what we're talking about. And the intense emotions that can be attached to the pain of it is what we're addressing. Of course, the tense emotions can be good too, but we're talking about when you are really attached to some painful aspect of that, and that can just cloud what it is that you're trying to see going forward. So, in part one, the three myths we talked about were don't feel bad, grieve alone, and what was our third one?
Replace the
Replace the
loss.
loss. Yeah, replace the loss. And so
Mm-hmm.
today we want to unpack the other three. So the first one we are going to talk about is it just takes time. How many of y'all have heard
Mm-hmm.
that? It just takes time.
Just like it'll be all over in the morning.
In the morning, joy
Mm-hmm.
is coming in the morning. And that's
Mm-hmm.
true. It is going to come. But the myth associated with it just takes time is that we think that it is just the time passing that does the healing. But the truth of the matter is, if you aren't doing something differently, doing something effective, doing something, I hate to use the word right, but doing something beneficial and useful for the outcome that you are seeking, then it's just time passing. And then we
Mm-hmm.
get frustrated because a lot of time has passed and we still feel the same way and we think something's wrong with us. And then we
Mm-hmm.
can be upset and feel inadequate. And we just lump on more and more stuff because our premise was wrong. The button was misaligned,
Come
right?
on.
So everything after it is is misaligned. And so we want to just raise the awareness. First of all, it's a myth that it just takes time.
Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things about this myth is it has the illusion that it's working. What actually happens in our nervous system is the shock of it wears off. Things aren't getting better, things are being different, right? And so your reaction to it lessens, but that's not the same as time. What is it? Time heals all wounds is another one, another way of saying the same myth. You'll hear us use different words, like, but these all are the same basic concept. And so, say for instance, I broke my leg and I went to the emergency room and they set my arm. What's going to happen to my leg? My leg hasn't been set. And so I can't just leave my leg to set. Not at this not at this day and age. The, the way these bones set up, they need encouragement and support to get back right. But if I just left a broken bone to set and heal on its own, at minimum, I'd have a horrific life altering limp that would affect my life. And for some of us, we have never been the same after a loss experience. And I'm not just talking about tangible losses, losses that are typically understood. I'm talking about these intangible losses. You know, that one job let you go unfairly. And so you are a tornado in every other job you have. You are hyper vigilant. You're always asking questions and not in the helpful to get the information type of way. Or you may have sworn off traditional jobs altogether and you stay working for yourself, whether it's working out or not, because it's problematic. And so understanding that grief does not dissipate. It does not wear off. It does not, if you leave it alone, no, it doesn't. It stays full strength for as long as it's there. What we have learned, though, is to change how we interact with it, whether it's being in relationship with the story that grief helps us remember and experience, or the pain that the grief causes. That is something different. And most people tend to stay in relationship with the pain and not in relationship with the loss. And I realize that even as I'm saying it, it might be difficult to wrap your mind around these concepts having not set in Soul Repair 360 to like see, lay these layers on. But yeah, time does not heal all wounds. Good care, intentionality, and proper practice heals wounds, right? And all wounds don't get the same healing. So you got to pay attention to what it is you need. So kind of keeping that in mind. Did you want to say anything else about time heals all wounds, or it just takes time before I kind of rope in the
I was gonna rope in, so you can rope in, keep
okay.
busy, because that's it's right there.
Listen, so right there with time healing all wounds, we also believe that's happening when we say things like you got to keep busy, right? This idea of keeping busy means if I'm doing something that I'm not thinking about it, and if I'm not thinking about it, then I must feel better. No, it's still there. It's still, you can tuck it and it's still in there. Just because you don't see it on the outside doesn't mean that it's there. And you can see it on the outside, by the way. It should looks like something else, but it always shows up. It doesn't ever go away. And we're not suggesting that you don't sit with the reality that this is going to be happening for a period of time. We're not even saying that doing some things like going, sitting with the experience and adding some activity to your life isn't beneficial. We're saying that it does not heal grief. We want to keep backing up to that because people sometimes want to argue with us with whether or not the things that are listed as myths are good or bad. We're not talking about these actions as good or bad. We're talking about, do these myths, as currently believed by some folks, actually help heal the hurt of grief? And it does not. Staying busy does not help the hurt. It only prolongs the sitting with the heavier feelings. And so, if you're thinking that as a solution to my grief or my disappointment or my negative experience, I got to just keep busy, that is a myth. Now, to the United States of America,
Hmm.
I don't know, we might get flagged. I might have to skip this part. I don't know, Danielle. We're going to see. You're welcome. For the grieving Black woman has built this country for you. Because one thing about
Man,
us, we going to stay busy. You
yes.
break our heart, we going to lose 40 pounds. We got to start over again. We going to get 2 degrees. We're going to start a business. We're going to start a corporation, not a corporation, an organization. How many nonprofits is out there on the back of grieving Black women? I just read an article this very day about Miss Patti LaBelle. Now, as I begin this, I
Mm.
have no idea whether or not the article is accurate or not. That's how we are right now. You can read a whole article and not know if it's true. But the article said that Patti LaBelle opened up a free hospital for the homeless. Did you hear this, Danielle?
Mm-mm. But I
In
keep
her
seeing her
81
pop
years.
up.
Ma'am, let's talk about how smooth all of this is on Patti LaBelle. If I was smooth like that, Patti, you would see these all day, every day. Patty don't even wear her hair on her neck. Her stuff's so smooth. Anyway, shout out to you, Patty. You look good, girl. But she she opened this hospital for homeless people that's 100% free. Has 250
Hmm.
beds. It's got all of the things, cancer treatment, trauma, mental health, all of that stuff. And then it's like 100 something apartments on the top for
Hmm.
residential apartments. The article quotes her as saying to this individual, "This is the legacy that I want to leave. Not the high notes, not the songs, but this because, and here's the point I was trying to get to." And she said, "Because I know what it feels like to be invisible."
Hmm.
Miss Patti LaBelle,
Hmm.
Patty Sweet Potato Pie Bell.
Okay.
Her pain, her grief, just fund, I don't know how many millions of dollars it took to put it together, but she said that the article says that she privately raised the funds and with anonymous donors. She over the last 18 months, child, Patty was just doing her thing on the down low.
Hmm.
That's something to do. Folks posting, you raised $2, you on the internet, holding the angle, talking about first dollar raise. Learn something from Miss Patty LaBelle.
And I'm
Anyway.
glad you brought out the cultural distinction of it too, because that is also part of the misconception that you look at somebody on the outside who you see as being well put together and having all of the accomplishments. I mean, you can't get much higher in the entertainment industry than Patty. and the
Mm-hmm.
longevity of her career and the people that are on her same tier.
Mm-hmm.
And you would definitely not think about her that there was anything she needed to be developing necessarily in terms of her emotions or in any capacity that it would indicate some form of, weakness or whatever. Like, you see the opposite when you see people like that. And I think that's so important for all of our very busy, overachieving, doing the most type A personality
Child
people
type B. Type B doing it now. Everybody.
to understand. And again, not to say that those things are bad, and absolutely they have built this country, but we have to understand too that that can be a response to that grief. It is, I need to have control over something. I need to see something positive. I need to be able to make something because I cannot deal with, or you think I can't deal with whatever this is over here that I don't even want to bring up or talk about. But you can do both.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Absolutely.
do both.
I mean, when I say, when I said well, I was going to say in jest, but I genuinely do mean that our pain has built this country in many ways, the contributions
Mhm.
that we've made. I'm not implying that the contributions aren't valid and aren't
Right.
necessary.
Yeah.
I love how you said we can do both. There are also some things that we paid in tears and dysfunction that we don't have to live with. We can still open, these foundations in a hospital for the homeless and, having learned our lessons in life. We don't have to be this insensitive individual to our family members. We don't have to mess around and hurt our children because of our own particular wounds. We can do this thing differently because with that pain comes that lived experience.
Yeah. And I'm also just thinking about when I reflect on my own life, I've gotten to a point where I've had to ask myself the question of what is my motivation behind trying to fix the system? Like, am I trying to fix the system out of a calling, out of a need? Or am I doing what we're talking about right now? Like, I need to have some control over all these uncontrollables. Like, I need to be
Mm-hmm.
able to grasp onto something, and that motivation matters because I don't want to get no chronic disease while I'm trying to do it, okay? Because I'm burying all this stuff, masking all of this stuff, having all of this, toxic energy on the inside of me. I want it to be coming from a pure, healed, whole place where my vision is clear
Mm-hmm.
and I know where the boundary is when I need to say, hey, y'all, I'm going home. I'm done. I'm not going to be going over and aboard working 14 hours because I'm trying to prove to somebody whatever it is that we feel like we have to prove. And that's a common thing when you think about things like racism and you trying to show the world we're worthy, we're great, this is unfair, we want this to be equitable. But we still have to really be self aware around what is going on the inside of us so that we can do that in a sustainable way. So I do want to get move us to the last one, and it's similar also. These like triplets right here.
Mm.
Because the last myth is be strong. And again, folks, this is a myth as it pertains to addressing grief. We all want to be strong, but we want to clarify what we mean by this and how it can actually hinder you when you are trying to have a clear vision and to have something actually be executed and manifested in the way that you desire it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, you talked about this a little bit already. I don't remember if it was in part one or part two, but why is being strong a myth and misinformation?
Well, Number one, when people say be strong, they don't actually mean be strong. They're just saying, don't show me what you're going through, and then call that strength. How is that even strength? We say things like, you got to be strong for your mother. You got to be strong for your kids. You got to, what am I doing though? Just like not showing them that this thing hurts and that it was difficult. It's okay in this to have emotions, this display of emotions that are appropriate to what's going on, right? So, like when you feel distressed or when you feel sad, when you feel disappointed, it's appropriate to feel those feelings so that you can move on in a healthy way. Being strong just means that someone else is uncomfortable with the experience. Being strong is an invitation to put on an unhealthy mask. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about being brave, which is different. All right. I'm not even talking about being courageous because we're not talking about that. When I say be strong, when I say the myth of be strong, it's when people believe the solution to being going through a grief experience is to not show your emotion. That's doing it well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what folks mean. Be strong. When someone says, don't cry, I'll get you another one, they're saying, don't feel bad. I'm going to replace the loss and be strong. Pretend like it doesn't hurt. And it's unfortunate you and I always have to do this, but we have to, there's always this pause where we're not talking about places where, vulnerabilities are problematic. There
Mm-hmm.
are times in real situations in our life where it is not safe to show our emotions. That's not the same as believing that not showing the emotion is the healthy thing. It could possibly be a emotionally safe thing for the moment, but it
Right.
cannot be the goal we set for ourselves to have no expression of the lived experience. As a matter of fact, the statistic is, well, not the statistic, but the loose number. My number gonna be real loose. You can correct it if you want to. I don't mind. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. By the time we're 15, what is it over how many
23,000.
messages saying don't feel bad, be strong, all of these types of things. Like, and so we see this most when we're little kids, when we've said it to other kids, it's been said to us, don't cry.
Be strong.
Come on. You got to be strong. You a big boy? Are you a big girl? What are we saying? I know for a fact. Now I'm going to just get free. Like I was not free before, but I'm going to get free. I'm going to speak candidly. Hold on. I know you're not prepared for this. But a lot of times, the things that we tell kids that about being strong is really about us being at the end of our patience or things being inconvenient for
Right.
us, right? I know when I was thinking, I think they're ready for potty training. It was when I was tired of diapers. That's when I thought, I think it's time, right? Whenever we want someone to change their behavior, it is typically because we're uncomfortable. And whenever we change our behavior and try to be strong for whatever the reason is, when we personally do that, we have to look around at others to be affirmed to make sure that we're doing it correctly. Because remember, it is an actual strength. It is an act, and the act always needs an audience. And so when we're trying to be strong, we look for other people to tell us that we're doing it well enough. And in essence, we're asking folks, am I hiding my hurt well enough for you to feel comfortable enough to be around me?
Oh, child. Now that took me straight back to the workplace when masking goes wrong, right?
When masking goes wrong. And again, we're not
Yeah.
talking about boundaries, crossing boundaries of vulnerability. People really kind of get in the woods, there and want to debunk. By the way, if you still, again, I have to repeat, if you feel the need to debunk everything you hear us saying, you got something else going on. Get the nuggets that'll work for you and move along. Move along. If you hear us, say amen. If you don't, then this isn't the message for you. But this is for that person who is genuinely saying, I want something to be different this year. I keep making the same goals and dedications and commitments for my life, and I keep falling short. What is going on?
Yeah.
Our offering to you is it could be grief, the start that is stopping you,
Yeah.
that you are living with these myths, these beliefs that you think are knowledge, and it's not working out because you think that you're emotionally set up to make moves that you are not emotionally set up for. You want to you want to get married this year or start a committed relationship, and you still got father wounds, mother wounds. You can't put him on the board until you deal with. You can put him on the board, but he'll be back off. You're gonna have to put another one on the board real fast. You be like, he was on the board, he fell off.
Yeah.
He fell off. He wasn't the one. And then you'll say stuff like, he wasn't the one. That's not,
Right.
he was the one. You
Okay.
weren't ready. It's amazing how
Yes.
other people mess up when we don't get healthy. Everybody else had the problem.
Yeah, and I'm glad you take took the time to kind of make these distinctions because I hear a lot of black women saying, I don't want to be that superwoman. I'm tired of being the strong black
Hmm.
woman. And there is a difference between, of course, we always gonna be doing the thing like we do. We just designed in that capacity to be able to do it. But also we don't want to be that person who is obstructing the work because the defense walls are so high that
Hmm.
everything becomes an issue, and we tell ourselves, I got to be strong, I can't bend, I can't compromise, I don't want to hear a different perspective, I just need to get my way
Hmm.
there. It's us versus them, and that whole thing sometimes absolutely necessary. But if you are not dealing with, especially past stuff, in our work, we talk about that invisible backpack and all these things that be piling up, piling up, piling up. And then that one person come up in that meeting and they say something.
And you
And next,
think they mess with you.
next thing you know, the whole bag is all over the table.
Mm-mm.
And so I do think we need to be very real about that. Never let them see me sweat type of
Hmm.
attitude that we can take into it, that we are regulating our emotions appropriately when we're in those situations. And you can't do that if you're not doing like ongoing healing. Like some of this stuff
Absolutely.
is not something you can just in the spot of the moment you're going to be equipped and prepared, and that doesn't mean make any statements about who you are as a great person. It's just that it's not humanly possible. Like you need to be dealing with this stuff ongoing, 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 so that as the stuff comes up, it doesn't hit you as hard.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not something that blindsides you. You're like, okay, I know what this is. You got to calm that amygdala down. You got to be like, okay, girlfriend,
You're doing too much. You're doing too much.
let her know I'm cool. I don't need, this is not a level 10. We're not getting ready to
Put your
drop a nuclear
earrings.
bomb in here.
Put your earrings back on, girl. We ain't going. We ain't going. Just put your earrings on. Put the Vaseline down. Put your earrings back on. We
Yes.
fine. We fine. So, I mean, I love how we're breaking this down and being really honest about we do not live in on fantasy island where just because we say what the healthy thing is that we always have access to the healthy thing. Quite frankly, whether we think it's fair or not, we have to build these spaces. We have to seek out these spaces. We have to find community where we can be this. We were not designed to live in solitude. And sometimes believing this myth of being strong means you do live in solitude because you don't ask for help. You don't trust help that comes along the way. And so you end up doing things alone. What comes up for me is that I fully recognize and I want to acknowledge and honor those who had to grind at the level that a lot of us still live at because we were trying to meet a level, like we were put in a sub condition, and so we had to push really hard to get above. You know what I'm saying? Like it really took a lot of momentum to get to the places that, the women who came before me made the way. I love to honor my mama Lean, um, who I never met in this life, but whose presence I felt all over me. And my mom told me that she was it just goes to show you the day and age. She was like a woman pastor. The fact that she had to say a woman pastor, but she wasn't allowed to be called a woman pastor. She was called an evangelist. But she had a
Mm,
church and a congregation, and she did ministry and all of that. And I believe that she paved the way. And there was a way that she had to be to get it done. And I do believe to some degree, as a culture of women, we've been taught that that is the appropriate default setting. But I need to acknowledge in this moment that that was not the original design for us to have to work that hard to keep our head above water.
mm-hmm.
Even if, generationally speaking, you can prove its necessity or its efficacy or why it was it happened that way. We're here to tell you that it was never okay. It wasn't okay
Okay.
then, and it's not okay now. And so, um, finding community where you can genuinely express your emotional response to a situation wholly and completely. And I don't mean a group of people you can complain to, because that's still not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And for many of us, it has to be a very cultivated space. That means going to a therapy group or taking a program like Soul Repair 360 or joining a community. We're really blessed in this day and age. We can find a a social media community or a particular, group of like-minded folks to follow and find that path. But yeah, be strong is a myth we've been told all along. Let's stop telling folks to be strong. Um, and
Yeah.
not just because the Black woman is tired of being strong, but because it is an inaccurate request.
Yeah.
Because I do want to be strong, but I want to lift them weights. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I want to be
Okay.
strong in my body. I want to get those things up. The perimenopause, we need the muscle mass, right?
Yes, we
I
do.
don't know why I'm saying perimenopause. Child, my period done went long. It's I'm post. That's too y'all don't need that ain't y'all business. Just move along. Just move along.
And I do want to just add on when I was talking about the one around don't feel bad. And part of that can be that you feel like you don't want to be a burden to other people
Yeah,
around you. So you just want to carry it yourself. That goes into what you're talking about too, about having that supportive community and understanding just as much as you give, you can expect to receive. And we have this other myth in our minds, like, and of course, I know it's all reasons we get out. It's better to give than to receive. I get that. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that you have needs too. And sometimes what comes with the be strong trope is that, oh, I can take care of myself. I got to make sure I got to take care of them over there. But you deserve too. You are not
mm-hmm.
a burden to people. We are to do this together. It's supposed to be a mutual exchange, a reciprocal relationship where everybody gets what they need so that we all can be healed and whole.
Absolutely. It costs more to do it yourself. Have you
Yeah.
ever encountered somebody? I'm sorry, but have you ever encountered somebody like crafty or who likes to do it themselves, and they be like, "I did it myself," and you be like, "I could tell." You know, everybody think just because they can do it themselves that you're not lacking in the quality. Sometimes you give up some quality doing it yourself. That's all. I don't know if I'm talking about crafty folks or I'm trying to make a solid point.
Hey, they have research groups for a reason. You want to make sure that people want to use it when you get
So, these are the things that we want to keep in mind. So we've been sharing a lot of things over the last couple videos about things that people misunderstand as it relates to grief and as it relates to life overall. What we're saying is these myths that we've listed, don't feel bad, replace the loss, grieve alone. It just takes time. Keep busy and be strong, specifically be strong for others, is how it's translated out. Those actions being taken with the intention that it is the healthy way to grieve or a response to grief is a myth. Those actions taken in response to grief are ineffective and unhelpful. And that can be the very thing that has you stuck as you're trying to reach the next level of awareness, the next level in your life, get clarity on what your call is, to know what your next move is, to know to what or who to dedicate yourself. If you're just entangled in all of this other stuff, you cannot see clearly. And so we invite you to sit with these myths for a little while and see how they land with you. Do you recognize some of them having lived in your own life? For those of you who are following along with us, then we can put the information on the Grief Recovery Handbook if folks want to check that out and read more about those myths. And yeah, to read more about those myths. What are some of your thoughts, Danielle?
I want to hear how these vision boards are different next time. We want y'all to put in the comments if you took this, and it may not be all six of them. It might be one of them that is a thing that just is like, that's what I needed right there. We would
Mm,
love to hear just your reflections on what may have been different as a result of you taking this into consideration as you think about your vision for 2026. So,
yeah, maybe we'll do what you can do instead. We got the beliefs. What if we give some knowledge?
yeah, yes, I would love to. And if you want to take a picture of your stuff too, you could send us stuff. That'd be cool too. I love to see what people are thinking about.
Okay. I love it. Thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, so we talk about grief informed wellness around here. We are the Soul Sisters. You don't want to have to talk to.
But you are always glad you did. Until we
Yes,
meet you
yes.
again next time, have a good evening. Bye.
Bye.